In today's 5-Minute Gardener, when you think of desert landscaping, a few plants come to mind. The Ocotillo works both in a desert garden or mixed in with other beautiful non-desert plants. Our 5-Minute Gardener, Debbie Mounce from Harlow Gardens, tells us about the Ocotillo.
A couple weeks ago, we talked about our beloved saguaros in the desert. Another one of our trademark cacti in our desert is the Ocotillo. This is another one that it just really defines our Sonoran desert. It's really beautiful, it's distinctive, it flowers. There's not much more that you can ask. Although they're really lovely, they can be, it's wonderful to have them in your garden, but they can be a little bit problematic to plant and get going unless you know a few things about them. Often you will find Ocotillos for sale that have been actually cut out of the ground. Their roots, they do what they call bare rooting. Their roots have been cut off the main body of the plant and they're laid out to dry out. And you take that plant home and you plant it in the ground and you support it and you hope that it will develop roots again and grow green. The success rate with that kind of Ocotillo is problematic at best. Even we at the nursery have been trying to do it for years, and we probably have about a 50% success rate. Another way to get an Ocotillo is to buy a seed-grown Ocotillo. So that means they actually took the seed, planted it, and they grew it from a seed. And of course, then you're waiting some years to get a really big, lush, beautiful Ocotillo. But you do know then that the plant has roots and will grow and will develop into a big plant. Now this is one that we have here in the nursery. This is a young Ocotillo. This one is probably about 4 years old maybe or so, and starts to develop, as it gets bigger and bigger, it'll develop more and more arms, more lateral arms, forming that beautiful Ocotillo shape that we're so used to. Now, once the Ocotillo reaches a certain size, it will begin to flower.
They're so beautiful. I didn't realize they were so delicate.
Well, they're not delicate. It's just that they, you know, people say, well, God, they grow out in the middle of the desert with absolutely no attention whatsoever. The critical thing people forget is that they are choosing where they're growing out in the desert, and they must have a water source, or it must be an ideal spot for them to grow. Otherwise you would not see them there. They wouldn't be there. Now we're digging them out of the ground and we're asking them to grow where we want them to grow, which that's true of a lot of our cactus, which right away says, wait a minute, there may be a little bit of a problem here. This may not be an ideal location or soil condition or whatever for them to grow in this spot. So certainly those bare-rooted Ocotillos are tough. They're really tough to get to grow, and as I was telling you, it may take up to 2 years for you to even know for sure whether it's alive or dead. So then, I don't know, you have to be really patient if you want to do that.
And how much do you water an Ocotillo?
Well, the seed-grown ones that we have in the nursery, we have a few right now, but the ones that you saw from the nursery are seed-grown, and we water them once a week thoroughly.
Okay. Even in the summertime?
Even in the summertime, sometimes twice a week.
Okay.
Just because they'll stay leafed out when you do that. You want them to have a period of dormancy, but in the summertime, that's why they look so lush and green, is when the monsoons hit, they get that supplemental water, and that keeps them lush and green.
And a lot of people use them as fencing.
Yes, as fencing, and there are companies in town that do fencing, and what they do is they'll just cut off, you know, one stem of the Ocotillo, and then this is often done in Mexico. The companies that are here, a lot of them import these fencing panels from Mexico, but they're wired together, and so you'll get like a 5-foot span of fencing, and you plant it about a foot deep, and then what'll happen is sometimes the Ocotillos will develop roots and leaf out. Some of them will, some of them won't. It's still a beautiful fence whether they do or don't, and some of them I've even seen where the Ocotillo actually starts to grow extra arms, and you can keep those trimmed off if you want to, or let it grow. You know, certainly it's a great deterrent for anybody to get in your yard.
The living fence.
The living fence.
Yeah,
and that's the name of the company in town, the Living Fence Company.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.